the Minnesota Vikings have made a major move in free agency, getting one of the top free agents on the offensive line in Ryan Kelly, and this means something massive for what other moves are going to be coming for the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to be breaking it all down here on how Will Fries could also end up on the Minnesota Vikings. We have a lot to break down here, but before we get into this video, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. We have a lot of Minnesota Vikings news coming over the next few days with free agency well underway, and this is only the beginning. If you're looking for a spot for all of your Vikings news, you're in the right spot. Hit that sub button, join us here, but let's get straight into this one, Griffen. From Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, the Vikings are expecting to sign a 4-time Pro Bowl center, Ryan Kelly, veteran key addition to the offensive line from the Indianapolis Colts. This is one of the signings that we had kind of hoped for, but not really mentioned here on any videos. We were hoping the Vikings were going to kind of revamp the center position, and they did here with this signing. And Ryan Kelly has been someone that has really shown what is one of the most important things in the NFL is consistency on the offensive line. At 31 years old, he has been a standout offensive lineman for that Indianapolis Colts team. And although the Colts may not have been that good, they've had one pretty good offensive line for a couple years now. And he has been the forefront of that. He's been the middle of that. And, well, I mean, literally the middle. He has been the biggest part of that offensive line. And structuring out on that has been a very good success for them. And now that's where the Vikings find themselves as well. Looking at just guards now, having 2 standout tackles, a standout center, things are progressing in the right direction. I'm very pleased about this signing right now. Griffen, what do you think about Ryan Kelly? Kind of before we hop into the contract side of things as well as Will Fries.
I love this signing. I think this is a signing that we didn't expect to see coming, like you said, with all the offensive linemen that we were kind of throwing out as possibilities. This was one that we never once talked about, but I'm very happy we were able to get because Pro Bowl experience, veteran experience, lots of intangibles that go with it. Being on one of the best offensive lines in football as well, learning from Quentin Nelson as well too, playing with him for many years. So there's a lot of upside for this as well, and a lot of Vikings fans, even in comments in our last video that we just posted about Jonathan Allen visiting Minnesota, everyone was wanting Minnesota to just finally make a move, finally make a splash. And this isn't a major splash, but this is still a pretty big splash because of all the things Minnesota had to do. Yes, this isn't a major marquee name signing, but this is a massive piece of this team that we needed to fortify. We needed to fortify this offensive line, especially when Sam Darnold, he left today. Now it's fully over to JJ McCarthy saying, hey, you have the keys to the car now. We are trusting you. So now it's time to go build around him. And the Vikings are doing exactly what we wanted them to do by going out and getting another center that can be reliable, a tough guy who will be that stable blocker for JJ McCarthy, and also a center that he can develop a relationship with, a veteran that he can develop a relationship with, which will be very crucial for this rookie quarterback.
Yeah, and I do feel like that departure of Sam Darnold really solidified the signing in the mind of Kwesi Adofo-Mensah here today. They've spoken about committing to building an offensive line for JJ McCarthy, especially in what is going to be his rookie season after missing out in his first year. And Ryan Kelly is a great addition to this. He is 31 years old, so he's a bit on the older side, but as an offensive lineman, still fairly young, at a good price, 2 years, $18 million, and actually a bit under his market value as well. He was projected to be $10 million a season, and being able to get him a little bit under just creates that extra bit of freedom the Vikings can use later on in this free agency or when it comes down to the draft and whatnot, a trade later in the season. They need every bit of cap space they can get here, especially with the uncertainty of everything else going on around this team. With the departure of Cam Bynum, they're going to have to add to the secondary now, and being able to get a veteran, 2 years, $8 million per season, $10 million projection. That's really not as bad as it looks. And when we do look here at the depth chart right now, we can see where they are at the bottom. The offensive line is really starting to build up. Christian Darrisaw, Ryan Kelly, and Brian O'Neill really being the stars on this. Now, obviously, there's 2 big gaps there at guard for the time being, but this is where things are going to come into play, and especially with Will Fries. We have the weapons right now. JJ McCarthy, as you see, moved to number 1 on the depth chart. There is 2 things right here on this offensive line that need to be fixed, and Will Fries may be at the center of that. And this is what we have from the Vikings fan page, as well kind of coming from everybody else, but this is just one I figured, cleanest looking one. A Will Fries free agency decision could come as soon as, come soon, per Darren Wolfson. I don't expect him to be on the board a ton longer. Now, this is a very good sign, especially when it comes down to it, and right now, late at night on this Monday, we may not see this move here tonight, but tomorrow or overnight, this move could get done. And when we're looking at the Vikings now in this side of things, I think the Vikings are the leading candidate for Will Fries. They may not have been before, but going with a former teammate, someone you have chemistry with, and even if the Vikings have to push the extra little bit to get Will Fries, I think there's a decision to make. This certainly locks up one of the remaining guards. Then you have the freedom to go out, and once again, free agency, via trade, the draft. The Vikings are, going to lock this up if they can do this and have one extra guard they need. They can really focus on everything else then. So, Griffen, I know you spoke on Will Fries a couple of videos ago. How do you see this kind of impacting the thought process from Kwesi and as well as Will Fries on a potential signing with the Minnesota Vikings?
I think having one of his teammates there will go a long way towards Minnesota, trying to get him to come over to Minnesota as well. I think he'd be the perfect addition as well, like we covered in our video. What I do really like too is touching on the Ryan Kelly contract really briefly, is that they got him below market value. It evens out what we paid for Aaron Jones because we did overpay a little bit for him. However, with him taking a bit of an under market value deal as well, what I love about it is that this goes to show that Minnesota is a place that players want to play. This is an organization that people want to be in, and this is just a building and a culture that people want to be a part of. So even if they have to take a little bit less, they know that this is a team that is very much deserving of a Lombardi trophy. They're very much in pursuit of a Lombardi trophy, and they have a Super Bowl window open right now as is what is usually the case with the Vikings, but there's always that uncertainty of us being frauds or just not being able to pull it through in the big games. Now this is a step towards making sure that we can do that. On the Will Fries side of things as well, having his teammate there on a cap-friendly deal is great, and then you bring him in on a maybe a bit more of an expensive deal, but you can still bring him in on a relatively good cap hit as well. That goes to show that Minnesota is very committed to making sure this offensive line is protecting JJ McCarthy because, like I said, even though he has that year of experience of not on the field, but still learning in the organization, using that VR technology that Jaden Daniels found very useful as well, he still hasn't been in those real game situations, so we don't know how it's going to pan out in that sense, but making sure that he has an elite offensive line, that's amazing towards going for that, and it just goes to show that Minnesota is going to be truly committed to JJ McCarthy because there was a lot of skepticism before Sam Darnold's moved on. We were covering videos that were ranging as far as Sam Darnold getting extended to franchise tagged, to JJ McCarthy being traded, to all these different stories, and now we finally have our path, and it goes to show that all that speculation of if Minnesota is fully committed to JJ McCarthy, they are. So if you go out and get Will Fries, he's one of the top names that are left on the board. Hopefully he still stays on there long enough for Minnesota to poach him from Indianapolis because, hey, they take one of our best guys, let's take two of their best guys. Makes it even.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And as well as kind of what you mentioned on the availability of cap space when you're underpaying a little bit on Ryan Kelly, Will Fries does not have the cheapest market value, currently listed at $14 million, but that gives you, once again, the opportunity to a little bit overpay, knowing that you have now to protect JJ McCarthy. If this is the plan for the Vikings and they don't end up going out and signing, Aaron Rodgers or something, it gives the opportunity to be able to overpay, protect your guy, and Will Fries, who's 26 years old, we could afford to pay him quite a while. Pair him up with Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, Ryan Kelly, and then having, a potential rookie on the other side. This would give a great opportunity, not just to learn from some of the best in the NFL in, Christian Darrisaw and Ryan Kelly, a veteran, but it just also works out well with a great system, a great quarterback, a great run game, a great offense in general, and it really adds up to being exactly what the Vikings need at this point. And with the cap space that we currently have at $55.9 million, let's call it 56, makes it a big opportunity for the Minnesota Vikings here to be able to do this, while also be able to make these other moves that are needing to be made with Byron Murphy Jr.'s future in question with the Vikings and any other moves that they just not want to make. Jonathan Allen, there's so many that are in question right now that they're going to need the cap space for, but being able to overpay on someone that you need, I think is going to be a key factor when it does come down to, the beginning of next season and the development of these younger guys and the success that this team will have next season. But Griffen, with this cap space, do you think we're going to, before we finish this off, do you think that we're going to do any surprise moves tonight? Do you think that we're going to see anything else other than Will Fries, maybe a Jonathan Allen or something?
I think if there's two that it'll be Byron Murphy and Jonathan Allen. I think those are some big ones. I think Javon Holland is one that we could see happen maybe on Wednesday because I think that's when Harrison Smith decision is probably going to come around. So I think that's going to be a major factor as well. But I think Jonathan Allen visiting with Minnesota today, I am willing to say that deal is as good as done. I know there's no reports or anything like that. This is just my gut feeling. They wouldn't bring him into Minnesota for nothing. He wouldn't have said that he has this interest in Minnesota for nothing. And then you also have Jonathan Grenard with tweeting what he put out there with the eye emoji to Darren Wolfson. So Darren Wolfson, he's been on a pretty good streak lately. Hopefully with the Will Fries stuff, that even goes to show even further that he's right. But I think Jonathan Allen, that's going to be a deal that we're probably going to see before Wednesday as an inked deal, because they can go out and make that deal. And hopefully Byron Murphy is the next one that comes into that one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And ladies and gentlemen, this is just the beginning of free agency. 3 videos today. We're probably going to have more coming, potentially tonight, but definitely tomorrow. So you're going to want to make sure to hit the sub button, stick around. We're going to be having all the news right here. But that's all we got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But we're signing out. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.